Hey, welcome back to the Ministry of Sailing Sailor Debrief. Coming to you from the Severn Sailing Association in Annapolis, Maryland. We're going to talk about the most outrageous race, and yep, a rescue that just happened this year. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Get ready for a massive roll-up. Think about a candy bar. Right there. Let's go. Bring
it. It was a pretty unsettled sea state in the wake of some of the squalls that have been going through. And whether it was boat motion or a gust of wind or what have you, he wound up going over the side.
My mission is to provide the background of this race and try to defend the position of why it's the most unpredictable race that's out there. Some might have even called it the most dangerous. But you need to remember, sometimes danger just comes and finds you wherever you may be. That's why training for the worst case scenario is so important. Your mission is to use the comments below. And remember, we're all sailors on the same page here. We're all on the same team. Try to keep that in mind in your comments. In the second running of the world's most unpredictable race, only a few boats actually finished the race. One small rule change recently may have made this the safest of all offshore races. This race should be on everybody's bucket list. It's been raced by the most famous boats with some of the most famous racers. The weather will bring 60 to 70 miles per hour winds and possibly 35-foot waves. Do you think you know what race this is? Many of you are not going to like the choice, what I call the world's most unpredictable race, but I'm really fine with that. My goal this episode is to make you think about the waters that you sail in. Let's start breaking it down. The graveyard of the Atlantic has 5,000 boats sitting on the bottom of the sea right in that area. This body of water has 6,000 boats. This race started in 1898, and as far back as records go, even into 1911, this race has been hit by storms. That's 113 years of storms hitting races with safety conversations that are ongoing. In 1925, less than half of the fleet finished the race and 2 boats sunk. In 1937, a full gale hits the race and 75% of the fleet retires. One boat had its entire crew swept off the deck, only to be rescued later by the United States Coast Guard. Then in 1970, 60-mile-per-hour winds devastate the fleet. Out of 167 boats, 88 of them retired. One famous sailor is made to eat his words, and we'll talk about that in a second. In 2002, a front moves through once again. Booms, masts, and sails are destroyed. Another boat capsizes and squalls all over the place. But when you manage the risk well, like Roy Disney does, you break records. In 2011, another storm hits. Tragically, 2 lives are lost. In 2022, another maelstrom comes through the fleet. Wind, waves, storm, but an 8-hour lightning storm, which all the racers say was absolutely incredible to watch, occurred. 27 teams this year retired. Here's your final hint. 330 miles long makes it the longest freshwater race in the world. Did you guess the Volvo Ocean race? It's not that one. Bermuda? Not that. Fastnet? Transpac? What is it? It's the Chicago Mack. Some people think there might be a difference between an ocean and a lake. And in almost every case, I would say that could be absolutely true. But don't underestimate this one. This lake creates its own weather systems. It's so big. As a matter of fact, it's part of the Great Lakes. And them working in tandem together can make things go from a 10-mile-an-hour per day that it could be blowing 60 miles per hour just an hour later. Often without any warning whatsoever.
Come in, damn it! Come in! Damn it! Trim! Trim the main! Trim the main! Come on!
In 1970, Ted Turner, an American Eagle, raced the Chicago Mack. He took second place, but once again in 1970, a storm just devastated the fleet. Ted went through every single sail in the garage, and he only finished with the mainsail. He earlier commented that Lake Michigan was a mill pond. The mouth of the South had to eat those words. This year, during the 2024 Chicago Mack race, she did it again. We're going to talk about a man overboard situation here shortly. Hang in there. But we're also going to talk about one rule change that makes this race accessible for everybody. You want this on your bucket list.
And Sean was moving forward along with a couple members of the crew on the starboard rail, and it was a pretty unsettled sea state in the wake of some of the squalls that have been going through. And whether it was boat motion or a gust of wind or what have you, he wound up going over the side. Happened in the blink of an eye. Sean hit the water, his vest inflated, and he was able to activate both the strobe and the MOB within seconds, which put us in a position to keep an eye on him the entire process.
I popped up on their system, on the AIS, and immediately he saw he was within the vicinity, and he hit accept, a button he pushed, so the bearing for the race course now switched to me, where I was in the water. And so they knew exactly what their heading was.
The beacons off of Sean's vest, AIS, DSC beacons all started coming into our system, into our instrument system. So pretty quickly we had range and bearing on Sean and knew exactly where he was. And got our boat under control, got all the sails down, and motored slowly towards him. It was hard not to see him, and that was really important. I think we were probably, over a mile out from him, you could see him. He was lit up like a Christmas tree. Everyone did an extremely important role and knew exactly what to do.
I could see a bow light coming at me, lined up with a mast headlight, so I knew that they were on me, coming towards me. And to my surprise, it was not my boat.
And he just set up, just to weather of him, and we were far enough away, stop the boat, all in neutral, throw the life sling, and pull him up on the transom. And Mark Strobe and Mary grabbed them and just heaved them up on the transom.
That's because when you go to sea, you're putting your trust not only in your crewmates, but all the people that you're racing with. Because just given the dynamics of yacht racing, it's highly likely the first boat to you isn't the one that you fell off. And having that trust, not just that they're going to come get you, that they're going to drop out of the race potentially to go do that, none of that is what the MADCAP crew were thinking about. They were thinking about very quickly and very calmly getting their sails down, getting their engine on, and getting to Sean.
Chicago Yacht Club, there's a lot of races, there's a lot of committees out there that need to follow your lead. I applaud you in the decision making. The Ministry of Sailing thinks that you should get a share of that Hanson Award. Keep it up, Chicago Mac. I'll be racing next year. The AIS PLB is a game changer for man overboard in offshore sailing. The advent of the AIS personal locator beacon has dramatically transformed the landscape of offshore sailing safety, particularly in the critical scenario of a man overboard. These devices, equipped with advanced technology, have revolutionized search and rescue operations, significantly enhancing the chances of survival for sailors who find themselves in the water under distress. At the heart of an AIS PLB's effectiveness lies its ability to transmit precise GPS coordinates and a distress signal. When activated, the beacon immediately broadcasts its location to nearby vessels and shore-based authorities, providing rescuers with a clear and immediate indication of the victim's position. This rapid dissemination of information is crucial in minimizing search times. Lake Michigan is so unpredictable that even the best weather gurus, as we talked about before, have a little bit of trepidation whenever they're doing weather routing for some of the race teams. But here I'm going to give you a tip. You want to pay attention to Colorado. That's right. There's a Colorado low pressure that will develop sometimes in the summer. And when that happens, that's when these big storms tend to come up out of nowhere. You're going to want to use an application that has the CAPE. Yep, you're going to be looking at for the potential energy that's up in the air, and use your CAPE overlays on any of your favorite weather maps to figure that one out. You don't want to go on Lake Michigan without that. When you're prepping your boat and you're reading the safety requirements, you're going to notice in the Chicago Mac, there's a phrase that they call personal behavior. I like to call it safety behavior. And that's where they put these rules in about the PFDs being worn at night and then also during the day. A key component of the AIS PLB is that once it's activated, it alerts on all vessels nearby of the exact position of that man overboard. Immediately, the navigator has the ability to accept the position of the MOB and start driving the boat to the location of the person in the water. Listening to this story of these persons that were in the water during the Chicago Mac, I'm sure you agree that the PLB with the AIS is indispensable when it comes to any offshore sailing, or even sailings across some of the Great Lakes, the larger lakes, or maybe even some of the lakes that you might sail in, particularly if you're sailing in those at night.